One of the more unfortunate aspects of life is the loss of a loved one. When somebody that we love dies, most of us experience what is referred to as grief. Grief exhibits itself a little differently in everybody. Most of the time, losing somebody that we love entails some form of shock, intense pain, sometimes guilt, anger, loneliness, and depression. Most people go through several different phases of emotional trauma during the grief process. In this video, we would like to explore 7 of those phases. These 7 phases of grief are fairly common to most people. Now, not everybody goes through all 7 phases, and sometimes people go through 2 or more phases simultaneously. Knowing the phases of grief can help you to understand in a general way what it is that you are going through and what you can expect as you pass through your grieving process. Sometimes people get stuck in the grieving process. It's important to understand that grief will always entail a certain amount of pain. Unfortunately, if you wish to pass through the grieving process and come out on the other end, you'll have to pass through this pain. Some people try to avoid or to lessen the pain through the overuse of drugs or alcohol. When you do this, you risk stopping the process altogether and becoming stuck. This is a necessary process, and the best approach is to simply walk through the pain. There are 7 phases of grief that most people go through. The first phase is denial. Denial is quickly followed by pain and guilt. Next comes anger and possibly bargaining. This in turn is followed by depression and loneliness. Now, at some point, a person begins looking up and begins looking for a way to adjust in life. This brings about a reconstruction phase. And finally, we come to acceptance and hope. It may help to think of the grieving process as being a deep pit that you fall into when you experience the loss of a loved one. Now, as you're walking along through life, you encounter the pit. It appears quickly and unexpectedly, and you fall over a cliff. This is what happens when we lose a loved one. We unexpectedly fall into an emotional pit of sorts. As you trip and fall into the pit, you reach out and grab onto a piece of sagebrush. You hold on tight and you try to figure out what just happened to you. This is the stage of grief where you experience denial and shock. It's difficult to believe that a person you loved so much, the person who was such an important part of your life, is now gone. You refuse to believe. There must be some mistake, you tell yourself. How could they be gone, you ask. Losing your grip on the sagebrush, you fall further down the pit and you land on a small ledge. Pain sears through every part of your mind and your body and your heart. The pain is so intense that you doubt if you can even move. Perhaps you bargain with God, asking Him to reverse time or to miraculously bring back